Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more comics, and it's finally here. I was so nervous that my Graham Cracker comic subscription wouldn't come in the mail today, and it did. It came priority. So I got all my copies of Powers of 10, number 6. We'll be doing, I only got one other book, and we'll be doing that review afterwards. But it's finally time to talk about the end of Powers of 10 and House of X. Officially, this is it. Starting next week, we have X-Men number 1. So our jumping off point, our really amazing jumping off point from this series by Jonathan Hickman that has revitalized not just my interest in the X-Men, but interest in searching out for really good work instead of just accepting mediocrity. And so going forward, I plan on reading a lot more, like being more selective with a lot of stuff that I read, and giving more independent stuff a chance, and looking up old stuff from Hickman, things like that. But before we get into the episode or the review proper, we're just going to show you that if you didn't know already, the different variants that you can get. I'm going to be talking off of my actual issue. One of my actual issues. I got like 2 copies of that one. And then we got the action figure one that's Armor. Oh, we're going backwards here. Then we got the Decades character for Logan. Got that one. That's pretty awesome. And then the connecting variant from last week. I should have gotten the other one out to connect it. It's all the villains. The other one's the other side of that. It's really cool. Really cool. And we got our Huddleston variant, which I want to say these like the X-Men Year 1000 guys that are like part human, part machine. I can't remember exactly. I mean, it's a pretty dope looking cover. Then we got the new character cover, which is like a 3-headed Nimrod, kind of like the Tri-Sentinel, but like a big crazy ass looking Nimrod. I love this art. We got Scotty Young's "I'll trade you a mint condition mullet chop Bishop for a classic Magneto. What do you say, bub?" I say you don't know what mint condition really means. I really love this. And then I left this one like last time with the Omega Red. This is our foreshadowing variant edition, where it's Sunspot of the New Mutants. In the newest stuff, he was like in charge of like the Secret Warriors, I think. But here it looks like he is the leader of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. This is really interesting because DaCosta, right? That's his name from the New Mutants. He's wealthy, I thought, in the comics. All I know is that it seems really cool. It seems really cool. I like that idea of that means the New Mutants, I guess, would be in space or whatever team Sunspot's on. But we need to get into this. This is a bigger book, but part of it is, I'm not going to say this is disappointing or anything. It's fantastic because we do see the 6th life of Moira. We also learn more about like Moira's intentions and how things go. But it's kind of a lot of recapping and connecting things and extending on things that we've been pieced together here and there, like the whole reveal of her, to Charles and things like that. But again, the art is fantastic, and so it says like, "And now we build" by Professor X. And what I really liked is people keep talking about how we don't see Charles, and I think it's really important that he starts out this book with full-on Charles. Like, this is Charles, and I think it's meant to, I think, kind of put to bed everybody's thoughts of who is underneath that helmet. And while they could still pull something, and I wouldn't be surprised that they'd say it's not Charles, but by the end of this book, I feel like what I've been saying is, like, it's Charles Xavier. He's just not, things have happened, things have changed, and with everything that's going on, he's changed his dream. We just didn't know about it. Like, it took time.
So we relive this whole series of events
Um, who was the... Yeah, Pepe Larraz also did art in here besides RV Silva to keep like the House and Powers stuff going. But so we go all the way back through everything that we've already read before of her going up to him, having their conversation and all that, leading up to her revealing things. And I do like the picture of the magician, the tower, and the devil that they have here. One being like, about the phalanx and kind of about like the future. Dan's going to a fortune teller. But she's calling Charles her strong man. And then we get to X-Men Year 1000 to Preserve. And what they don't say right away is, like, where is this, like, what life is this? Because I assumed, like, maybe this is, like, the 11th life or something. And instead, this is, like, a habitat for these people that are about to give up their humanity, the rest of what's left of their humanity, to the Phalanx and become one with them. We find out that Wolverine, Logan, is one of these 2 surviving mutants that they're keeping in like a zoo, like a habitat to keep the last few things that are still alive. And this librarian, this caretaker of the zoo, is talking to them about what's going to happen, monologuing, completely monologuing. And we find out that the other person there is Moira. But the librarian isn't fooled by their just plain surviving. Like, they know it knows that whatever reason we're surviving for a purpose. Like, we're looking for information too. And we find out that what's going to happen is that the Phalanx are going to absorb the rest of what's left of humanity meets machine and all become part of one, and then they're going to go to a black hole, and they're going to be a part of a dominion, a part of a god's head, a whole just giant thing. And so Moira, they all finally know, like, the end game of all end games. And that everybody's going to die, except the librarian is sending Moira and Logan off planet. And it's because it's having its own doubts about their own plan, and now it wants Moira to convince it to, stop it. Like, why should I prevent this? Why shouldn't I just go ahead, and why should I let you die? Because it knows now, like, what her whole deal is. And so he knows if she dies, she gets to start over, and this could all change. But since it's not off the table that maybe it should change, it's up to them to convince it. And so it actually says some things about how everything goes bad, and you never even saw it coming. You didn't know where it was coming from, all this. And it just proves, like, to Moira at this point, that when she sees everything and it's all explained, like how the humans were trying all the things that they possibly could to keep their race going, knowing that human evolution had stopped, which means that pretty soon humans wouldn't even be born. It would all be mutants. And so it's like the Sentinels were created for that, to hold it down. Then the Nimrods and all these things that the humanity kept doing, throwing in the way, creating to just keep their version, humanity going in whatever form it could take, I guess. Still beating mutants, still staying relevant, like any species would, And at that point, Wolverine just, now that they know the plan and everything, he just ends that dude. And then kills Moira again to end her 6th life that she needed, now they're going to stop it again. So, like, this goes into, like, more of, like, what we didn't, know, like, as far as how much do Xavier and Magneto and Moira all know about the end game for humanity. I also, like, in typical fashion now, like, they talk about how, there's the mutants and there's the humans, and then there's what the humans are going to become, the branching humanity. That for Homo novissima, post-humanity is a manufactured branch of humanity, not restricted by normal evolutionary constraints. The problem with the technology-based post-evolutionary state is the inevitable, but naturally occurring paradigm loop between organic and technological constructs. A machine leap makes a post-human leap possible, and a post-human leap makes a machine leap possible, on and on until one of these two eventually reaches an end state. Which means basically the humans while they might be able to get rid of mutants, it would end up creating their like there's, in the end there can only be one, and that's like, and the phalanx are just trying to make it all, I guess. If I'm getting any of that correct, I'm sure, just go ahead and correct me in the comment section, because there's a lot to like process here. So we get the end of that where Charles sees everything, and it's, you know, she talks about his ways of thinking and how he never changes, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh, this really is Xavier. This is Xavier, and over the course of these years, you know, she has groomed him. Now I'm questioning in the end, like, what her real motives are, because it feels like she's setting up this thing even though she knows we always lose. And it's just kind of interesting how she still kind of carries on this, but is there more to it than that? Is what I'm starting to wonder. Some people have talked about how maybe all these different lives have really messed Moira up, and I'm sure they have, but like not, but in a way that would be detrimental to what they're trying to do on Krakoa. But yeah, she talks again about how he's never changed and we got to change, and then we get Moira's journal, and it just, as it goes on, especially this very first part, it's like, it's taken months, but after allowing Charles Xavier to read my mind, I've successfully recruited him to my cause. Unlike myself, observation has not granted him perfect recall of my past lives, and as I will not permit him to read my mind to me a second time, he is now dependent on my interpretation of past life events. Eventually this will not be enough, and I will have to open my mind to him again. Perhaps he will even act against type and do so himself, meaning he's just going to do it without her permission. But all he will be looking for is confirmation of suspicions he might already harbor. Meaning, like, maybe she's not saying everything and knowing, and she's held back on the truth that is they always lose. And so regardless of how long our alliance lasts, the truth is my best friend. It's painful how hopeful and idealistic he remains. It's shameful how much he wants to love these people. Now, is she talking about, like, humanity or mutants? I don't know. I could say there's a case for both, and somebody better than me is going to know about all this. But then there's, like, I have a choice to make. Until now, I have been lying to myself about what I am and am not capable of. I believe that I could manipulate these men into doing what I needed them to do without any repercussions to myself. So, like, what do you, that's what I mean, is, like, what she's wanting to do. You know, I know just how strong, as while we become romantic, it's becoming clear to me that I am breaking Charles Xavier, and if I do break him, how will he become the man I need him to be in the coming days? And her concern, her paramount fear, is that I fracture his psyche and eventually unleash something unexpected into the world. So that's something else. That maybe all this is created just a dark, you know, like Charles is Charles. It's just a different, you know, he's been turned into something else, a different way of thinking after all of this. And then it goes on, like, there's this part where she says, I lost Magneto. In the last part. We have lost Magneto. I had hoped, given the opportunity, to help make him a better man. Instead, all we have made is an enemy. I am just as bad as they are, if not worse. And also the stuff about Sinister. And what if what they told me is true regarding their meeting with him? He has produced his first chimera decades early, and it is Sinister himself. So, and then the whole thing where she says, I've decided to remove myself from the world. I've become too active a force in this, and have put both myself and our great plan at risk. Charles and I will use a Shi'ar golem, a living husk, to test our early theories on what can be accomplished with adequate and properly prepared genetic material and a backup copy from Cerebro. We will fake my death using a replica, and I will return to the shadows where I belong. So basically, kind of like a pod person gets created, right? And then they kill it, and but she's not really dead. So they were testing out, like, the pods and stuff already. crazy stuff, man, that they're not telling. And they do this where they're celebrating and they're talking about the council and they're meeting with her in secret that nobody knows about, which this can't last forever. This is going to end in tears. Somebody said Sabretooth's going to find her. I don't know about that. But they described to her who's all on the council and what's all going to be up with that. And Emma Frost and how they can't trust her. And that they told Mystique that they would bring her, the only way to get her to be a part of it would be to bring back Destiny. And Moira is already like, nope, you know you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, we know. So they're already betraying one of their own by making a promise they can't keep. Because there can be no precogs on Krakoa. We will not tolerate mutants who can see the future. We know. You don't understand. She has ways of seeing me. Seeing me is highlighted. And I am a weakness because my death ends all of this. We know. Do you? What happens if we bring her back and she tells everyone what she sees? What if she tells everyone the truth? And it's all about, Charles, like, you really want to know them to know that we always lose. Like, take away their hope. But it feels like they're working towards way more than hope. But then they say, the truth is that until now we have always lost, but this time it's going to be different, for we are different. And I don't know, like, the definition of insanity or whatever they say, you know, like doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same results. So I don't know. Just saying something like that just reminds me of that. But then we still get like all these great pages from like that harken back to the last issue and everything. But I feel like this might be a disappointment to a lot of people, this issue, because I think with all the different theories that people get built up, and somehow people want to see more than that's what's there, and maybe there still is a lot of stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's we're not seeing yet that has been hinted at and whatever. But I think some people will take offense that this maybe is like a lame way to end it. But I actually like it a lot because we get to see what happens after they said, just look at what we made. And they're talking, and still like Apocalypse is off on his own, still doing nothing, but they talk about, and yet the thought lingers, is it enough? This is only the start, Eric, but we have to hope so. And if it is not, then we do more. This is all there is, Eric. We live and die with this, you and I. Then I will die for it. And if I fall, then you will raise me up. I will show this world what a real mutant is. Keep talking like that, and you're sure to elicit a response. I am not ashamed of what I am. Let them try to stop us this time. Yes. Let them try. So yeah, they sound like villains here now. They sound like villains here now, and it's like, will they be sending out, basically, secretly, like, the X-Men are going to be, I feel like, thinking the side of good, and the side of mutants. And I think that what they've done here now is they've drawn the line in the sand, and that with mutant domination, it prevents the humans from getting to where they need to go themselves and starting the whole war. And it's kind of like us flipping it on humanity a little bit here. So, wow. I mean, where we start now in X-Men #1 and all the other books that I will be reviewing on the channel, it's going to be nuts. I'm excited. I'm sad to see this end, but I'm very hopeful for what comes next and through the next few years, that we have like plenty of stories to go off of just through 12 issues of Jonathan Hickman. So Jonathan Hickman, thank you so much, sir. Excellent, excellent work. Thank you for giving us the X-Men revitalization that we needed. So if you liked this little review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, all that jazz. We are 68 away from 1,000 subscribers, so if anybody wants to help join the channel reach that landmark milestone, please do so. Otherwise, we'll be back with another comic review. We're going to be reviewing the only other book I got this week. After I have to go to the comic book shop and pick up stuff that I didn't pick up through my subscription service, but we're going to be doing Doctor Doom #1 after this. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Review saying keep reading comics, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.